The real job of an IT project manager. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Kory Kaai. Today we're talking about the real job of an IT project manager. Most people think project management is about tracking deadlines, sending reminders, updating task boards, and asking people for status updates. That is part of the job, but it is not the real value. The real value is taking confusion and turning it into a clear plan. Before a team can build anything, somebody has to define the goal, identify the users, write clear requirements, break features into tasks, manage risk, and plan the launch. That is what makes IT project management valuable. In this episode, I'm going to walk through how that works in a real project setting. Most projects fail before the task board opens. Most projects do not fail because people are lazy. They fail because the work was unclear from the beginning. A rough idea is not a project plan. A deadline is not a strategy. A task board does not fix confusion. If the goal is unclear, the team starts guessing. The business guesses what the developers understand. The developers guess what the business wants. The testers guess how the system is supposed to work. Leadership guesses whether the project is on track. That is how projects become slow, expensive, and frustrating. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how an IT project manager turns vague business needs into work a team can actually build. Project management is more than status updates. A lot of people see project management from the outside. They see task boards. They see calendar invites. They see meetings. They see status checks. So they think the project manager is just the person who asks, "Is this done yet?" That is a weak view of the role. A strong IT project manager does much more than track work. They help define the work. They help clarify the goal. They help identify the users. They help turn business needs into requirements. They help reduce guessing before it turns into rework. The best project managers do not just ask for updates. They help the team understand what needs to happen, why it matters, who owns it, and what done means. The real job is turning confusion into a clear path. This is the main idea of the episode. The real job of an IT project manager is turning confusion into a clear path. A stakeholder may start with a rough idea. They might say, "We need to improve the mortgage process." That sounds reasonable, but it is too broad. Improve how? For who? What part of the process? What is broken? What does success look like? A project manager has to turn that rough idea into a clear goal, then into requirements, then into features, then into tasks, then into a launch plan. That is the path. Rough idea, clear goal, requirements, tasks, launch. That is how confusion becomes execution. Define the goal before defining the work. The first step is to define the goal. This is where many projects go wrong. People jump straight into features. They say, "We need a dashboard. We need a form. We need email alerts. We need an admin panel." Maybe those things are needed, but features should come after the goal. A weak goal would be improve the mortgage process. That does not tell the team enough. A better goal would be create a digital intake process that helps buyers submit the right information and helps staff track follow-up. Now we have direction. We know the buyer needs to submit information. We know staff needs to track follow-up. We know the system has to support both the client side and the internal business side. Before defining the work, ask 3 questions. What problem are we solving? What does success look like? Who owns the outcome? If those answers are unclear, the project is not ready for development. Identify the users before listing features. After the goal is clear, identify the users. This matters because every feature should help a real person complete a real action. In the Buy Italy Mortgages example, There are several types of users. The visitor needs to understand what the business does. The potential client needs to submit an inquiry and receive confirmation. Internal staff needs to review, assign, and follow up. The admin needs to control access and see the full process. Those are different needs. So when someone says, "We need a client inquiry form," the project manager has to think beyond the form. Who fills it out? What happens after they submit it? Who gets notified? Where is the inquiry stored? Who updates the status? Who can see the full record? If you do not know the users, you cannot define the right features. Requirements make the idea buildable. Requirements turn the idea into something the team can build, test, and approve. Weak requirements create guessing. For example, the system should be user-friendly. That sounds nice, but it does not tell the team what to build. Does user-friendly mean mobile responsive? Does it mean no login required? Does it mean fewer fields? Does it mean clear error messages? A better requirement is the intake form must work on desktop and mobile without forcing users to create an account. That is clear. The developer knows what to build. The tester knows what to check. The business knows what to expect. Good requirements answer 4 questions. Who can do it? What should happen? What should be prevented? How do we test it? When requirements answer those questions, the team can move with less confusion. A feature is still too big to assign. A feature is useful for planning, but it is usually too big to assign as one task. For example, client mortgage inquiry form is a feature, but the team needs smaller tasks to build it. Those tasks might include create the form fields, add validation, save submissions to the database, send email alerts, test the form on mobile, test missing required fields, test confirmation messages. Now the work can be assigned. Now the work can be tested. Now the team can see progress clearly. The goal is not to make a longer task list. The goal is less guessing. When tasks are too broad, people make assumptions. A clear task tells the person exactly what needs to be done and how the team will know it is complete. Working example. Buy Italy Mortgages. The website is part of the business process. Here is the key point from the Buy Italy Mortgages example. The project was not just make a website. That is too shallow. The website was part of the business process. The business need was to help international buyers understand mortgage options connected to buying property in Italy. The process need was to collect the right information without making the first step too hard. The team need was to track each inquiry, owner, status, and follow-up without losing context. That changes how you think about the project. Now you are not only thinking about pages and design, you are thinking about the full journey. A buyer lands on the site. They understand the service. They submit an inquiry. The business receives the information. Staff reviews it. Someone follows up. The inquiry gets tracked. That is a process. The website supports that process. That is where IT project management and business analysis connect. Project map. From rough idea to delivery plan. A strong project follows a path. It starts with the business problem, then users, then requirements, then features, then tasks, then risks, then tests, then launch plan, then support, then feedback. Each step depends on the step before it. If the business problem is unclear, the users may be wrong. If the users are wrong, the requirements may be wrong. If the requirements are wrong, the features may be wrong. If the features are wrong, the tasks may be wrong. That is how teams can work hard and still build the wrong thing. The project manager helps the team walk through the path in the right order. The goal is not just to finish tasks. The goal is to build the right solution for the right problem. Communication. The IT project manager is the bridge. An IT project manager connects leadership and the delivery team. Leadership usually cares about timeline, cost, business value, and risk. The delivery team cares about requirements, priorities, dependencies, testing, access, and technical details. The project manager helps both sides understand each other. A strong status update does not need to be long. It needs to be clear. For example, done. The intake form fields are complete. In progress. Email notifications are being tested. Blocked. Staff dashboard access rules need approval. Decision needed. Confirm whether admins can delete inquiries or only archive them. That is useful. It tells people what is done, what is blocked, and what decision is needed. Clear communication keeps the project moving. New ideas are useful. Uncontrolled changes are expensive. New ideas are not the problem. Uncontrolled changes are the problem. During a project, someone may say, "Can we add live chat? Can we add SMS alerts? Can we add document uploads? Can we add a client portal?" Some of those ideas may be good, but adding every idea immediately can destroy the first version. The project manager has to protect the project without ignoring better ideas. The process is simple. Capture it, assess it, decide it, write the request down so it is not lost, then ask how it affects time, cost, risk, and priority. Then decide whether to add it now, move something else out, or save it for later. A moving target burns time. A clear first version gives the team a real chance to launch. Risk management is preparation. Risk management does not have to be complicated. A risk is something that might happen and could affect the project. For example, stakeholders may change form fields after development starts. Approvals may take too long. Testing may be rushed. The team may not have access. Email alerts may not work correctly. A good project manager identifies these risks early. For example, risk. Stakeholders change form fields after development starts. Response. Approve the field list before development begins. Owner. Assign one person to confirm the decision in writing. That is practical risk management. You are not trying to predict every possible problem. You are trying to identify the most likely blockers and prepare before they slow the team down. Plan testing before the end. Testing should not wait until the end. If you do not know how to test a feature, the feature is probably not clear enough. For the inquiry form, the team should test several things. Can the user submit a valid inquiry? What happens when required fields are missing? Does the client receive confirmation? Does staff receive the inquiry? Can staff review and update the status? Does the workflow support the business process? The goal is not only to prove that the form works technically, the goal is to prove that the process works. A feature is done when it works as expected and supports the business outcome. That is the standard. A good build can still launch poorly. A project can be built well and still launch badly. That happens when the team focuses only on development and forgets the launch process. Launch planning includes final review, access setup, staff walkthrough, go live, monitoring, and first week questions. Before launch, ask, has the final review happened? Does the right staff have access? Does everyone know how to use the system? Who checks the first submissions? Who handles issues? What happens if something breaks? For the first week, ask, are users completing the form? Are staff updating statuses? Are notifications working? Are any inquiries missing important information? A launch is not just pressing publish. A launch means the system works in the real business environment. An IT project manager does not need to be the best developer in the room, but they do need enough technical awareness to ask better questions. You should understand basic concepts like the database, API, user roles, security, testing, deployment, Access control, notifications. You do not need to fake technical knowledge. That is a bad idea. Strong project managers ask, document, and translate trade-offs. For example, if the team says document uploads will take more time, ask why. What has to be built? What security concerns are involved? What is the simplest safe version? What happens if we delay it? That is technical awareness. You are not replacing the developer. You are managing the decision. Here's a simple structure you can use for almost any IT project. First, define the goal. Ask, what problem are we solving? Second, identify users. Ask, who needs to do what? Third, write requirements. Ask, what must the system do? Fourth, break down features. Ask, what tasks can be assigned? Fifth, track risks. Ask, what can block progress? Sixth, plan testing and launch. Ask, how do we know it worked? This works for websites. It works for dashboards. It works for internal tools. It works for SaaS products. It works because the basics do not change. A clear project needs a goal, users, requirements, features, tasks, risks, testing, and launch planning. The main takeaway from this episode is simple. The value of an IT project manager is helping people move from confusion to execution. The task board matters, but it comes later. The real work starts when the idea is still messy. That is where the project manager defines the goal, identifies the users, writes clear requirements, breaks down features, manages scope, tracks risk, plans testing, and prepares for launch. That is what makes the role valuable. In the next episode, we'll talk about how to turn business requirements into a real project plan. For project management resources, templates, and case studies, visit www.korykaai.com. Subscribe for more episodes on IT project management, business analysis, and technology planning. I'm Kory Kaai. Thanks for listening.